Prophet Musa, peace be upon him, is one of the most revered figures in Islamic history. His life was filled with remarkable events, miracles, and divine guidance. However, there remains one mystery that has puzzled scholars and believers alike for centuries: the exact location of his grave. Unlike other prophets whose resting places are known and honored, the burial site of Prophet Musa, Alaihis Salam, remains hidden, and this secrecy holds profound significance. Allah, in His infinite wisdom, chose to keep the location of Prophet Musa's, Alaihis Salam, grave concealed, and even to this day, Satan continues to search for it. But what is the reason behind this? Why is it so important for the resting place of one of the greatest prophets to remain unknown? The answer lies in the divine wisdom of Allah and the potential dangers of human misguidance. As we delve deeper into this mystery, we will uncover the spiritual and historical reasons behind Allah's decision to protect the grave of Prophet Musa, Alaihis Salam, from being discovered, and how this act serves as a powerful lesson for believers throughout history. The mystery surrounding Prophet Musa's, Alaihis Salam, grave. Have you ever wondered why no one knows where Prophet Musa's, Alaihis Salam, grave is? Out of all the great prophets in history, his final resting place remains a complete mystery. Even today, no one, not historians, not religious scholars, and not even Satan, knows its exact location. But why? This isn't a coincidence. It's not a forgotten part of history. It is a secret hidden by Allah Himself. Unlike other prophets whose graves have been preserved and visited by generations, Musa's, Alaihis Salam, grave was kept completely unknown. And this secrecy carries a profound wisdom. One of the most intriguing aspects of this mystery is the involvement of Satan. According to Islamic teachings, Satan is still searching for the grave of Musa, Alaihis Salam. But why would he be so interested? What does he hope to gain from finding it? The answer lies in Satan's mission to misguide humanity. Throughout history, he has tried to turn people away from the worship of Allah by introducing false beliefs and idol worship. He knows that if he could locate Musa's, Alaihis Salam, grave, he might manipulate people into making it a site of worship, just like he has done with other historical figures. But Allah, in His perfect knowledge, prevented this from happening. By keeping the location of Musa's, Alaihis Salam, grave a mystery, Allah protected future generations from falling into misguidance. If people knew where Musa, Alaihis Salam, was buried, there was a great risk that they would start glorifying his grave instead of following his teachings. This has happened many times in history when righteous people's graves became places of exaggerated veneration. So, the hidden grave of Prophet Musa, Alaihis Salam, is not just an unsolved mystery. It is a sign of Allah's wisdom and mercy. It teaches us an important lesson. True faith is about worshipping Allah alone, not seeking blessings from physical places. And no matter how much Satan tries, he will never succeed in finding it, because Allah's wisdom is far greater than his deception. The story of Prophet Musa, Alaihis Salam's death, is unlike that of any other prophet. Just as his life was filled with miracles, from his infancy in the river to his splitting of the sea, his passing was also extraordinary. Allah granted him an incredible status, and even at the moment of his death, something unique took place. According to authentic narrations, when the angel of death came to take the soul of Musa, Alaihis Salam, he did something no one else had done. He struck the angel. This was not out of defiance, but because as a mighty prophet of Allah, Musa, alayhis salam, reacted with his natural strength, unaware of the divine command behind the angel's arrival. The angel of death then returned to Allah and informed him of what had happened. Allah, in His mercy, sent him back and gave Musa, alayhis salam, a choice. He could either live longer or return to his Lord. Without hesitation, Musa, alayhis salam, chose to meet Allah. But here's where the story becomes even more mysterious. Unlike other prophets who were buried by their people in known locations, Musa, alayhis salam's burial was different. The Prophet Muhammad mentioned in a hadith that Musa, alayhis salam, was buried near a red sand hill close to the sacred land. But no one knew the exact spot, not even the people of his time. Allah Himself took care of Musa, alayhis salam's burial, ensuring that no one would ever find his grave. This was a rare and divine act, highlighting the special status of Musa, alayhis salam. While other prophets were buried in marked graves, Allah deliberately hid Musa, alayhis salam's resting place. Why? Because He knew what could happen if people found it. Throughout history, graves of righteous figures have been turned into shrines, leading to practices that could take people away from pure monotheism. By keeping Musa, alayhis salam's grave hidden, Allah ensured that the focus remained on His message, not his physical resting place. And to this day, no one, not even Satan, has been able to uncover this divine secret. The burial place of Prophet Musa, alayhis salam, remains one of the greatest mysteries in Islamic history. Unlike the graves of many other prophets, which have been identified and honored over time, the final resting place of Musa, alayhis salam, is completely unknown. But this isn't by accident. This is by the divine wisdom of Allah. One of the main reasons Allah kept Musa's, alayhis salam, grave hidden was to protect people from falling into idol worship. Throughout history, we have seen how people have taken graves of righteous figures and turned them into places of exaggerated veneration. Instead of following the teachings of these individuals, some people begin to seek blessings from their graves, perform acts of devotion there, and even associate divine powers with them. Allah knew that if Musa's, alayhis salam, grave was known, it could lead people away from the true worship of Allah. Another reason is that Musa, alayhis salam, was one of the greatest prophets, and his legacy was meant to live on through his teachings, not through a physical place. The focus should always be on the message of Tawheed, monotheism, that he preached, rather than a location where he was buried. His entire mission was about freeing people from false worship and guiding them to the truth of Allah's oneness. Keeping his grave hidden ensured that his followers would concentrate on his message, not his physical remains. Additionally, Allah's decision to hide the grave of Musa, alayhis salam, serves as a test for humanity. It teaches us that we do not need to attach ourselves to physical places to strengthen our faith. True belief comes from following the guidance of Allah, not from seeking blessings from tombs or relics. By concealing Musa's, alayhis salam, grave, Allah reminds us to put our trust in Him alone and avoid practices that could lead to misguidance. In the end, this mystery is a sign of Allah's perfect knowledge and wisdom. No matter how much Satan tries to uncover it, the location of Musa's, alayhis salam, grave remains a divine secret, one that ensures the purity of faith for generations to come. From the very beginning of human history, Satan's ultimate goal has been to mislead mankind and turn them away from the worship of Allah. He has used countless tricks and deceptions to divert people from the straight path. And one of his most powerful strategies has always been the promotion of idol worship and false beliefs. His interest in finding the grave of Prophet Musa, Alaihis Salam, is no different. It is part of his ongoing mission to corrupt the faith of believers. Satan knows that humans have a natural tendency to respect and honor righteous figures. However, he also knows how to manipulate this respect and turn it into something dangerous: exaggeration and false worship. Throughout history, we have seen how the graves of pious individuals have been turned into shrines where people seek blessings, make offerings, and even perform acts of devotion. Satan has always encouraged these practices because they slowly shift people's focus away from the worship of Allah alone. If Satan were to discover the location of Musa's, Alaihis Salam, grave, he would attempt to mislead people into making it a place of exaggerated reverence. He would whisper to them that visiting the grave would bring them closer to Allah, that seeking blessings from it would solve their problems, and that building structures over it would honor the Prophet. But in reality, all of these actions would be forms of misguidance. They could lead people away from the true essence of Islam, which is to worship Allah without any partners or intermediaries. Allah, in His infinite wisdom, prevented this from happening by concealing the grave of Musa, Alaihis Salam. No matter how much Satan tries, he will never be able to uncover this divine secret. This serves as a powerful lesson for believers to remain cautious of Satan's tricks and to always uphold the pure monotheism that Musa, Alaihis Salam, preached throughout his life. The best way to honor him is not by seeking his grave, but by following his teachings and worshipping Allah alone. The burial of Prophet Musa, Alaihis Salam, is one of the most intriguing mysteries in Islamic history. Unlike other prophets, whose graves have been identified over time, Musa's, Alaihis Salam, final resting place remains completely unknown. This secrecy is not due to a lack of historical records, but rather a divine decision made by Allah. Various Islamic sources provide insight into his passing, yet none reveal the exact location of his grave. One of the most well-known references comes from a hadith of Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. In this narration, he mentions that during the miraculous journey of Isra and Miraj, he saw Musa, Alaihis Salam, praying in his grave near a red sandhill close to the sacred land. However, this description does not specify an exact location, and over time, no one has been able to determine where this site might be. This hadith confirms that Musa, Alaihis Salam, was indeed buried, but it also reinforces the divine wisdom behind keeping his grave hidden. The absence of an identified grave for Musa, Alaihis Salam, is also consistent with historical events surrounding his life. After leading the children of Israel out of Egypt and guiding them through the desert, Musa, Alaihis Salam, did not enter the promised land. According to Islamic tradition, he passed away in the wilderness, near the sacred land, but without ever reaching it. This aligns with the wisdom behind concealing his burial site. If it had been in a known and accessible place, it could have become a site of excessive veneration or even idol worship. Scholars have debated possible locations, but every theory remains speculative. Unlike other prophets whose graves became places of remembrance, Allah deliberately kept Musa's, Alaihis Salam, resting place a mystery. This decision highlights the importance of focusing on the message he preached rather than on his physical remains. The hidden nature of Musa's, Alaihis Salam, grave serves as a reminder that faith should not be tied to physical places, but the worship of Allah alone. No matter how much people search, the location remains unknown, preserved by divine will to protect the purity of monotheism. One of the biggest reasons why Allah kept the grave of Musa, alayhi salam, hidden is to protect people from falling into idol worship. Throughout history, humanity has had a tendency to take righteous figures and elevate them beyond their rightful status. Instead of following their teachings, people sometimes turn their graves into sacred sites, seeking blessings and performing acts of devotion that should be reserved for Allah alone. This is exactly what Allah wanted to prevent by concealing the burial place of Musa, Alaihis Salam. Islam strongly emphasizes the concept of Tawheed, the oneness of Allah. Time and time again, prophets were sent to remind people to worship Allah alone and not associate partners with Him. Musa, alayhi salam, himself struggled against idol worship during his lifetime. When he left his people for a short time to receive revelation, some of them fell into misguidance and started worshipping the golden calf. This shows how quickly people can be led astray when their faith is not firm. Had Musa's, alayhi salam, grave been known, there was a great risk that people might begin to venerate it excessively, turning it into a place of worship rather than a simple burial site. History provides many examples of this danger. In some cultures, graves of righteous individuals have been transformed into shrines where people make offerings, pray for help, and believe in supernatural powers associated with the deceased. These actions, while sometimes done out of love and respect, can lead people away from pure monotheism. Instead of seeking Allah's guidance directly, they begin to rely on intermediaries, which goes against the teachings of Islam. By keeping Musa's, alayhis salam, grave hidden, Allah protected future generations from falling into this mistake. The focus remains on the message that Musa, alayhis salam, preached, worshipping Allah alone without associating anything or anyone with Him. This serves as a powerful lesson for all believers. The true way to honor a prophet is by following his teachings, not by seeking blessings from his physical remains. Allah's wisdom in hiding the grave ensures that the purity of faith remains intact, free from any form of idol worship. Satan has always sought to corrupt and distort everything that is sacred, particularly those places that are intended for worship and devotion to Allah. His primary mission is to mislead humanity, to divert believers from the straight path, and to lead them into practices that are not in accordance with Allah's guidance. Sacred sites such as graves, mosques, and holy lands hold immense spiritual value. However, if Satan can manipulate these places, he can cause believers to fall into idolatry, misguidance, and false beliefs. This is why the location of Prophet Musa's, alayhis salam, grave remains hidden, to prevent it from becoming a target for Satan's influence. Historically, Satan has often used sacred sites as a means of leading people astray. In many cultures, the graves of revered figures have been turned into objects of veneration, sometimes even worship. People may travel from far distances to visit these graves, believing that blessings and miracles can be obtained through them. This practice, while seemingly harmless, contradicts the core teaching of Islam: to worship Allah alone. The danger lies in the human tendency to elevate individuals or places to a status that only belongs to Allah. Satan capitalizes on this human weakness, planting the seeds of innovation, bid'ah, and encouraging the development of practices that stray from the true faith. If Prophet Musa's, Alaihis Salam, grave were to be discovered, it is likely that it would have become a focal point for such misguided practices. People might have turned it into a shrine, offering prayers, making vows, or seeking blessings, thus diverting their focus from the one true God. This is precisely why Allah, in His infinite wisdom, kept the grave of Prophet Musa, Alaihis Salam, concealed to protect the believers from falling into such traps. Satan's efforts to deceive and mislead are relentless. He continues to target sacred places, using them as tools to distort the true essence of worship. By ensuring that the grave of Prophet Musa, Alaihis Salam, remains hidden, Allah protected it from becoming a source of misguidance. The lesson here is clear. We must remain vigilant against Satan's attempts to exploit our reverence for sacred places and redirect our focus solely to Allah. True faith lies in worshipping Him alone, without associating any partners or seeking intercession through anything or anyone other than Allah. This deep connection between Satan and sacred sites serves as a reminder for all believers. While we respect the sanctity of holy places and figures, our devotion should never transcend the boundaries set by Allah's teachings. By understanding the hidden grave of Prophet Musa, Alaihis Salam, and the role of Satan in leading people astray, we are reminded to keep our worship pure and untainted by external influences, always remembering that Allah alone is worthy of our devotion. The mystery surrounding the hidden grave of Prophet Musa, Alaihis Salam, offers profound lessons that resonate deeply with every believer. These lessons transcend time and continue to guide us in our daily lives. First and foremost, the most important lesson is that true faith is about worshipping Allah alone. The entire purpose of keeping the grave of Prophet Musa, Alaihis Salam, hidden was to prevent people from turning it into an object of veneration or worship. In many cultures, tombs of revered figures have been transformed into sacred places where people make pilgrimages, offer prayers, and seek blessings. However, Islam warns us against this. The worship of graves, shrines, or any material object is a form of polytheism, Shirk, that diverts our focus from Allah, the one true Creator. The lesson here is clear. Our worship should be directed only towards Allah, who is the source of all blessings, guidance, and mercy. Anything or anyone else that distracts us from Him is a deviation from the true path. Another significant lesson we can draw from the hidden grave of Prophet Musa, Alaihis Salam, is that Islam protects us from idol worship and false practices. Throughout history, misguided practices have often emerged when people began venerating human figures or places rather than focusing solely on their connection with the Creator. By concealing the resting place of Prophet Musa, Alaihis Salam, Allah ensured that no such practices would arise around his grave. This reinforces the importance of following the true teachings of Islam, which emphasize worshipping Allah alone and adhering strictly to His guidance, free from the influence of external distractions or innovations in religious practice. The story of Prophet Musa's, Alaihis Salam, hidden grave also serves as a stark reminder that Satan is always looking for ways to misguide us. From the moment he was cast out of paradise, his primary mission has been to lead humanity astray. Whether through distractions, doubts, or introducing false practices, Satan's goal is to divert us from the straight path. The fact that he continues to search for Musa's, Alaihis Salam grave reveals his relentless pursuit of misguidance. We must be vigilant and aware of the many ways in which he tries to influence our hearts and minds, leading us away from the worship of Allah and into misguided practices. Finally, the hidden grave teaches us the importance of trusting in Allah's wisdom. Allah's plan is always perfect, even if we cannot understand it fully at times. Just as he chose to keep the grave of Musa, Alaihis Salam, hidden for our protection, we must trust that every decision Allah makes is for the best. In times of difficulty, uncertainty, or doubt, remembering this divine wisdom can bring us comfort and reassurance, knowing that our Lord knows what is best for us. In conclusion, the hidden grave of Prophet Musa, Alaihis Salam, is more than just a mystery. It is a timeless lesson that reminds us to keep our faith pure, avoid false practices, be vigilant against Satan's tricks, and always trust in the infinite wisdom of Allah. The mystery of Prophet Musa's, Alaihis Salam, hidden grave is not just a historical curiosity. It holds profound relevance for us today, guiding us in the way we live our lives and approach our faith in the modern world. In today's age, where technology, materialism, and distractions are prevalent, it's easy to fall into practices that deviate from the true teachings of Islam. The lesson of Prophet Musa's, Alaihis Salam, concealed resting place serves as a powerful reminder that we must keep our focus on Allah and guard against the tendencies that can mislead us. One of the most significant lessons from this mystery is the ongoing tendency of some individuals and groups to turn graves and shrines into places of veneration. In the modern world, this practice has not disappeared. Rather, it continues in many parts of the world. People may visit graves, offer gifts, or even make supplications to deceased individuals, seeking blessings or miracles. This is a clear form of shirk, associating partners with Allah, which Islam firmly condemns. By keeping the grave of Prophet Musa, Alaihis Salam, hidden, Allah demonstrated that the act of venerating graves or places of burial is not part of true worship. Muslims today must take heed of this lesson and avoid any practices that could lead to the elevation of graves or people above their rightful place, where they are to be respected but not worshipped. Additionally, this mystery teaches us to reaffirm our belief in the unseen. In the world we live in, we often desire to see things with our own eyes in order to believe in their existence. However, the grave of Prophet Musa, Alaihis Salam, serves as a reminder that there are many things beyond our understanding, and our faith should not be contingent on physical proof. The hidden nature of the grave challenges us to trust in the divine plan of Allah, even when we do not have full access to every detail or explanation. The modern world also presents us with countless distractions that can easily lead us away from our connection with Allah. People often seek shortcuts to spiritual fulfillment, looking for quick fixes in material success, celebrity figures, or even self-proclaimed religious leaders who may mislead them. The mystery of Prophet Musa's, Alaihis Salam, grave urges us to avoid falling into these traps and to remember that true peace and fulfillment can only be found in worshipping Allah alone and following His guidance as revealed in the Quran and the Sunnah of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Moreover, this lesson holds importance in addressing the global issue of misguidance, where Satan's whispers continue to confuse and deceive people. Just as Satan sought to manipulate the sacred status of Prophet Musa's Alaihis Salam grave, he continues to plant seeds of doubt, misdirecting people away from the truth. By reflecting on this mystery, Muslims are reminded to stay steadfast in their faith, always guarding against the deception of Satan, which can take many forms, from subtle doubts to full-scale innovations in religious practice. In conclusion, the mystery of Prophet Musa's Alaihis Salam hidden grave remains as relevant today as it was in the past. It teaches us to resist the temptation of idolizing graves or objects, to trust in the unseen, to focus on worshipping Allah alone, and to guard against the deceptive tricks of Satan. The message is timeless, offering profound guidance for those who seek to remain on the straight path and avoid the pitfalls that can lead them astray. The mystery of Prophet Musa's Alaihis Salam hidden grave brings us to a profound realization. We must always place our trust in Allah's wisdom, no matter how much we may long for answers or understanding. In a world that often values tangible proof and immediate gratification, this hidden truth challenges our perception of how we should approach life's mysteries. It calls us to rely on the deeper understanding that everything Allah does is with perfect wisdom, even if we cannot immediately grasp it. Allah's decision to keep the location of Prophet Musa's Alaihis Salam grave secret is a powerful reminder that there are many things in life beyond our comprehension. While we may not always understand the reasons behind certain events or divine decisions, we must trust that Allah's knowledge surpasses ours. We are reminded that Allah's plan is always for the betterment of His creation, even when it seems unclear. The hidden grave teaches us to let go of our need for control and to trust that whatever Allah decrees is for our ultimate good, even if we don't see the full picture. In times of difficulty or uncertainty, trusting in Allah's wisdom becomes even more critical. It is natural for humans to question the reasons behind hardships or challenges. But the lesson from Prophet Musa's Alaihis Salam grave encourages us to turn to Allah in full submission. Allah's wisdom is perfect, and what we may perceive as hardship could be part of a greater plan that we are unable to see at the moment. In such times, the hidden grave of Prophet Musa Alaihis Salam reminds us that Allah has a purpose for everything, even if we cannot immediately comprehend it. Furthermore, this mystery reinforces the importance of submitting to Allah's will without questioning His decisions. Prophet Musa Alaihis Salam himself exemplified this in his life, as he trusted in Allah's commands even when faced with immense trials and challenges. Just as Musa Alaihis Salam chose to return to Allah when given the choice of prolonging his life, we too are called to trust Allah in all circumstances, knowing that His decisions are always the best for us. The story of Prophet Musa's Alaihis Salam hidden grave also invites us to reflect on our relationship with Allah. We are reminded that true peace comes from surrendering to His will, acknowledging that He knows what is best for us. The secret of the grave is a testament to the divine wisdom that governs the universe. By trusting in Allah, we align ourselves with His plan and find serenity. knowing that He is in control of all matters. In conclusion, the hidden grave of Prophet Musa, Alaihis Salam, serves as a timeless lesson in trusting Allah's wisdom. It reminds us to have faith in His decisions, even when we do not understand them. By placing our trust in Allah and surrendering to His will, we will find peace and guidance, both in this life and the hereafter. May we always strive to strengthen our trust in Allah, recognizing His perfect wisdom in all that He decrees. Ameen.